Hi folks, this is Bee from the Cerridwen crew, and today we are talking about the summer solstice. There's a lot of people who are making videos about the summer solstice, and there's a lot of gratitude in the world for the waters of the world. And I sit in Avalon, where Glastonbury for some of you, where there are 13 springs right under my backside, flowing with a lot of emotions. We have a lot of people coming into our town. This is tourist season in Avalon, or pilgrimage season if you like better. And the summer solstice is on Saturday and will be celebrated here at the Chalice Well at the White Spring, where even we locals go and hang out with each other and meet up and just tell each other how life is going. So the interesting thing is that what most people don't realize when they're celebrating this time of year is that it is actually the movement, the threshold from the light half of the year to the dark half of the year. And so for me, there's always that tint of sadness, because I'm a summer baby. I love the sun, I love the seaside, I love swimming, I love water, and I can already smell the decay of the winter coming. And winters are long in the UK. As much as we are abundant with green, and I mean, look behind me, I'm right under a beautiful set of trees. As much as we have all the green and pleasant land here in the UK, we also have long, wet and uncomfortable cold winters. But there's always a balance. There is always a dark with the light. There's always a part of us that needs to suffer in order to experience joy. So here in this part of Avalon that is literally just away from the ring road, we have the birds singing. You can hear them. They're really going mad at the moment. They are looking after their young. Some of them are already parents. Some of them are still trying to get parents, which is quite funny. But it is an amazing cascade of sound here, the sound of the singing. This video today is a little bit about gratitude, about experiencing joy, about allowing yourself to open your heart to joy. There is so much drama going on in the world at the moment. There are so many people so sad, so upset, that we need a little bit of perspective. I always say to people that come to us in the temple, when they can let go of all what they need to let go of, but then in order to make them feel like actually it's not so bad, this too shall pass. I often say, I'm just grateful that I woke up breathing this morning, because there's plenty of people who haven't. And I'm always grateful that I still have the use of my limbs. I'm always grateful that I've got 3 little munchkins, even if they wake me up at 6 o'clock in the morning. The sun is up, Grandma, get your butt out of bed. There is really about that. And as we come into our mature years and we see the twilight coming up on us, it is really a very concentrated effort to make the best out of every day. So today I'm really lucky. I'm going to go into the Cerridwen temple, and I'm going to sit with my friends, and we're going to meet interesting people who travel from all over the world to Avalon. I love the temple. We sit, we have a cup of tea. We always offer free tea. We sit, we have a cup of tea, we talk about people, where do they come from, what have they been looking for in Glastonbury. And last week we had ladies from Switzerland, from the Netherlands, from Germany, but also from Japan and New Zealand. Lovely chap from New Zealand called Lloyd, who's a great friend, and he comes every year. And that's actually really nice for all of us. If you've been here any length of time in Avalon, you recognize the returning pilgrims, you recognize the returning seekers, the people who've fallen in love with Avalon, but for one reason or other can't afford to live here. And to be honest, folks, not a lot of people can afford to live here. I thankfully came here, I don't know, through magic. I was able to find a place to live and eventually find a place to buy. Nowadays you have to be proper rich to be able to buy a place. But that's, because everybody wants to be here. Why does everybody want to be here? Well, first of all, it is a place where if you are a pagan, you are in a community of like-minded people. people who are on the whole not judgmental, who on the whole let you get on with what you're getting on. As long as you're not harming anyone, you enjoy yourself. Yeah, you can be who you want to be. You do you, we do us, and that's really the way forward. I think that kind of open-heartedness is what makes us so popular amongst all these people. Then there's the magic of the land. Of course, like I said, if you look up behind me, you see these amazing trees. At the moment, we are picking, I'm going to be doing it in a minute, linden tree blossom, and we're going to make magic and potions and beautiful sprays and all sorts of wonderful things with our abundance that we are gifted here in this town. The magic of the land. We walk the land. We really are present in the land. We see how the trees change through the seasons. We are very aware of where we are with the harvest. Somerset, where Glastonbury is a country or county of Britain, one of the biggest counties of Britain. It is basically the bread basket of Britain. Here we have many, many farms, huge amounts of land, and people who help us be fed, which is a really, gratitude for those people who work extremely hard, especially at this time of year. So, my hat off to you, dear chaps. And so that's the magic of the land, because every time you step a foot on this land, you can feel the healing that comes through the earth from Avalon. Is Avalon the only place? They call it the heart chakra of the world, but is it the only place where you feel that way? Probably not. There are many places, especially in the UK, that are properly magic. But Avalon has something special. It has an attraction for people. It is why so many people come here, and it is why so many people wish they could live here. Even if they have wonderful lives where they are, usually they love being here. And then there is the magic of the goddess. For me, the goddess is my sacred union. She is my beloved. She is the one that listens to me, that holds me, that gives me advice, even if I don't always take it, that sort of is a loving, caring, nurturing energy in my life. And with that come the amazing people that also live and love Goddess. They also are on the same wavelength as myself. They are the tribe that I belong to, the tribe that I love. Yesterday we had an amazing meeting with the Dark Goddess students. We were in the Abbey in the sunshine, reading Egyptian hieroglyphics and doing an Egyptian pyramid oracle. But then we went off and stayed at the Abbey tea rooms, which is sort of our go-to place because it has the freshest food, the freshest scones. I'm sorry, Cornwall, Devon, eat your heart out. Ours are better. Abbey tea rooms, if you ever come to Glastonbury, you must try it. They are amazing. There are lots of amazing businesses and people in Avalon, lots of amazing people who will always try and help if you have a question, if you want guidance, and most of them are very generous and give these things for free. There is a community feeling that we have here that is probably second to none to some of the other places in the UK, in the world. We do sometimes travel into the other world, and when I say other world, I mean our world that is outside of Glastonbury. And I have noticed that there is a big change going on. There is a lot of sadness, a lot of, fear, a lot of fear of lack. And I'm hoping it doesn't trickle into our little paradise, but who knows? So far, we are really trying our best to keep going, keep sending the energy out, keep sending the energy of love out to you. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to start a little project that is called the 5 Ds of Magic. It's going to be a little journey through the women that have inspired the Cerridwen training, that have inspired my work. You have to understand that we know very little about Cerridwen. Even if you've read all the books that all the people have written, there is still very little historical evidence of the goddess Cerridwen. She is everywhere and people love her, and she's getting bigger in the world. But real, what people call historical evidence is not really that present. So we have to search through different places, different people who have worked with her or who have worked with the healing that she talks about. She guides us to the people that we need to talk to. So the 5 Ds are 5 amazing women. The first one is Dion Fortune. Dion Fortune is my hero, certainly one of my most beloved teachers. And we, like I said, I live right underneath the cemetery, and I often say that I drink my water from the bones of Dion Fortune. It is a little macabre, but you know, we are the dark goddesses, what the heck. But she does still guide us. She still talks to us. We go up there, we sit with her, we bother the poor woman in her rest, but she loves it. She loves talking to us. She loves speaking her wisdom to us. She guides us with symbols, with signs, with thought patterns. She is very present here in this land. That is magic. That's the magic of being connected psychically with the other world. I don't like the term underworld. It's too Christian for me. I like the astral realm, or, you know, the astral plane, where we all meet and we all can communicate with each other. And then you have the inimitable Doreen Valiente. She who wrote The Charge of the Goddess that when I did my Wiccan training some 30 years ago, had to learn off by heart, because there was a time when you did your ceremonies that you would be called upon as high priestess, and that you would recite the Charge of the Goddess in order to start the embodiment, the flow of information from the goddess that would gift the coven the knowledge of the path forward. The Charge of the Goddess in itself is an absolutely beautiful, beautiful poem. It is, however, significantly based on work that Aleister Crowley did. So if you're not familiar with Aleister Crowley, or you're not a very big fan of his, he did have his issues, as have all of us. Doreen's beautiful version is the cleaned up version. Then you have the version of the Charge of the Dark Goddess, which was also written. Then there's a version by Starhawk. Everybody has been inspired by this beautiful, beautiful poem, but really an invocation to the goddess. The next D that I would like to introduce to you is the wonderful DJ Conway. DJ Conway is somebody that I have always looked up to. I love her work with the dragons. It is actually the only person whose work with the dragons I can actually identify with, and it is a very personal identification. When you are called by the dragons, a lot of the information comes through, but if you're searching for a dragon teacher, you have to show that you are pure of heart, that you're ready to learn, that you are ready to listen, and that you are really ready to receive. And the dragon law is not for the faint-hearted. But DJ gives us an entrance into that realm, and that way the dragons can see whether or not you are the right person for them, because they have been suffering from humanity's cruelty, and they're not terribly keen on working with us again. And yet at this moment of time we need them more than we ever have. So be prepared to do the hard work. The next one is Diane Stein. Diane Stein is not very well known here in the UK, and she is slowly but surely being forgotten because she worked in the 1960s and 1970s in the US, but she is an enormously influential woman, and she specializes with Shekinah Mountain Water in women's circle, in the empowerment of women. Whenever you hear in modern days somebody talking about empowering other women, or empowering women to empower themselves, or helping women in empowerment circles, that comes from Diane Stein. And it's about time somebody speaks about this amazing woman. And I always feel, being a historian myself, that it's good to go back to the first source and really hear what that person had to say, because they had the direct contact with the being that was teaching them and was speaking to them. And then the last but not least is Dolores Ashcroft Nowicki. she is of the path working, she of the work in the astral realm. And I'll tell you why she is so important to me personally and important to me on a global scale. We are being pushed around by all these people who are thinking that they are in charge of this planet, people in every country. It doesn't matter who the personalities are. There is this darkness descending, this evil descending on all of us here globally. Now, some people who are light workers will say, oh, for crying out loud, B, will you stop talking about it? It's all going to work out fine and the systems are all going to crash. The systems are already crashing. And you know what's happening? The people who need the help do not get it. There is no such thing as care in the community. There are very few social workers left. When you see cruelty, when you see injustice, you need to speak up. That's the truth of the matter. For some of us, life is pretty easy. We have enough of what we need. But for the majority of the people in the UK, it is quite hairy out there. And worldwide, don't even get me started. So Dolores is the one that tells us that when we work on the astral plane, when we work with path working, we can actually send energy, go and do things on the astral plane that will impact in the place where the help is needed. So let's talk about the Ukraine. Let's talk about Gaza. There is a way, and some of you will not understand what I mean by that, but some of you will go, yep, I know what you're talking about, B. There is a way to help people physically and mentally and spiritually, help people who are hundreds, if not thousands of miles away from you. There is a way. And Dolores, if you work with her, will show you the way. And so this is a mother line. This is a mother line for the Cerridwen crew. It's a tradition from which I come. I combine the Druids, the Wicca, and the Avalonian tradition, and I love it. And as I am going forward and becoming a little older, there is that urgency to share my knowledge, if people want to have it, with more than just the people who can afford to come on my course. And I nowadays regard the Priestess of Cerridwen course that is being taught here in Avalon, but also online, as an outer court course. What I mean by that is that the deep mysteries, this is a public role, this is a public spiritual leadership role. So you learn things like embodiment, oracling, you learn things like creating ceremonies, you learn all the celebrancy things, you learn about Cerridwen, you learn about working together, you learn about the virtues of Cerridwen, you learn about the Morwinion, which by the way are not the Morgans from Avalon. But it is an outer court role. You are an outside looking person. You are the person people see first when they need help, when they want to connect with Cerridwen via you. You are the bridge, and that's okay. Then there is the inner court. The people who are not seen, that are not visible, that are working their little hearts out and their little butts off on the astral realm to create peace, to create balance, to create harmony, to help, to wake up consciousness, to do all of those really important things. Send soul healing, send solace, send hope, send joy. That's what we do. Now, it's not me alone, it's not us alone. There are a lot of beings in the world, here in Avalon and in all the worlds, that actually will do that work, can do that work. But it takes a great deal of learning. It takes a great deal of focus, of how to focus your will to do something. It takes a lot of training to not go somewhere where you can be injured, where you can be harmed. Because if you believe, and my teacher said that right at the beginning of when I did the trainings 30 years ago, my teacher said to me, if you cannot hex, you cannot heal. If you cannot curse, you cannot cure. Because the energy and the medium are the same, the channels are the same. What it changes is what you're sending out there. So we have priestesses who are warriors, whom I see in their silver, beautiful armor with a great big sword by their side, who are walking side by side with the with the warriors of the other realms. and maybe Tegedvoil and Avakthi and Taliesin and all of those who are in defense of our beautiful world, because they are all here present. And then you can be a healer. You can be there with your satchel, you can be there with your lotions and your potions and your bandages and your poultices. You have real power in that realm, and you can make things better. But in that you need to have a pure heart. This cannot be something where you go, oh, how much money can I make from that? And that is unfortunately the question far too many people these days are asking me when they come on a training. How can I monetize what you are teaching me? And unfortunately, the problem is that these days, these people will go away, take a half-assed amount of what I taught them, take my materials, and then go and set up their stall elsewhere. It is what it is. It is how this world is working at the moment. And usually I'm a bit blasé about that, because what they don't know is by stealing from me, by stealing the intellectual and the connection that I have with Goddess, the materials that come from them, you can take them away. You can take them away. They're yours. Go for it. But what you do is you show Goddess you cannot be trusted. You're not trustworthy. You are not a safe pair of hands. Now, some of you will not like what I say here, and most people don't like what I say here. And some people are actually taking me to court because of some of the things I say here. But I will tell you this. If you want a deep and abiding connection with the realms that are connected to the other world, that are connected with imagination, that are connected with intuition, inspiration, insights, then you must come from a pure heart. You must come from a pure heart, because once you are a pure heart, what will happen is that they will pour their knowledge. Whoever wants to work with you will come along, and they will pour their knowledge through you so that you can take it into the world. If you take something and your heart is not pure, the inspiration will not come. You will have what you have, and you can make the most of that, but eventually you realize there's something missing. There's something not there anymore. And that, I'm afraid, is when you realize that you've made a mistake. You've taken something that's not yours. It is a 5 of Swords, my darling, and it causes conflict, and it causes blockage. And obstacles will be placed in your way because you are not fair to all the others, to all the beings, and you are not a safe pair of hands. So that is how I see it, and that is the messages I get, and that is what I see in 30 years of experience. You may say, you're talking rubbish, it's all good, you can do what the hell I want. And Aleister Crowley said that. He said, that when you will something, it will happen. The problem is, when you see how his life ended, you realize that eventually you have to pay the piper. Eventually you have to look in the mirror and take responsibility for your actions, and eventually it will come back to haunt you. Losing the connection with Goddess. And this is what I talk about when I talk about sacred union. Losing the connection with Goddess. Losing yourself. Losing a part of yourself. Losing your higher self, or priestess self as we call it, is the most painful experience that you can ever have. Every now and then I fall off the perch. Every now and then I let my anger guide me, and Cerridwen will give me a very sharp jab in the ribs and say, stop causing conflict. Do not become part of the problem in this world. You are a part of the solution. Do not become part of the problem. And she's very strict with that. She's very strict, and she will take action when people try and take advantage of her teachings and of what she brings into the world through her priestesses, through the people. And I tell you, there's priestesses of Cerridwen that have never seen Avalon, have never heard of Avalon, and they are all over the world. There is a reason why this obscure Celtic goddess, not Welsh, Celtic goddess, is so prominent in the world right now. And she told me 12 years ago that that's what was going to happen. And she also told me 12 years ago it was going to happen because of the situation on this planet at this moment. On this note, I do want to leave you with a thought that is a little happier. Come and join me in my exploration of the 5 magical Ds. It will start at the end of May, and you are welcome. It is a freebie. We will put our coffee, whatever you call it, details there. So if you feel like you would like to leave a donation for our beautiful temple here in Avalon, it is an actual physical temple for Cerridwen here in Avalon. And it is opened by the wonderful Cerridwen priestesses that live here. And we get more people coming to Avalon, which is really exciting. But come and enjoy. One of the reasons why I'm doing it on YouTube, why I'm doing it for free, is because I want people to be able to see it. The more of you step up, the more of you help, the better this world will become. And we cannot keep it to a few privileged self that just wish to have a title perhaps, and then don't do anything in the world. I'm not speaking of a majority of people, certainly not in the Cerridwen crew. We're all busy bees, but being privileged means that you have a responsibility to all those that you can reach out to, that you can help. So on that note, I leave you here from the beautiful Isle of Avalon, and I'm sitting in the sun and I'm like, yeah mate, this is so cool. And I'm going to Glastonbury Festival, so you won't see me next week, but I will be posting something for you. Blessed be.